Hi guys, so welcome back to another beautiful tutorial. So today we're going to be making this beautiful off shoulder overlap peplum top that you're seeing right here on your screen. So the picture at the side was actually the inspiration for this beautiful tutorial. So if this is something you're interested in learning how to make, how to cut and sew, just keep watching the video to the end. And if it's your first time you're coming across my channel or any of my video, thank you so much for stopping by. So guys, this is the fabric we are going to be working with, and I have 2 years of this African print fabric. So we are going to be starting by drafting our pattern for this particular tutorial. So I'll be drawing a line at the top of my pattern paper. That line will be serving as my starting point line and also my shoulder line. So from there, I'll be going down to mark my bust point. Then I'll be marking my half length for the top, which is 17 inches. So that half length is actually my waist length. So I'll go ahead and draw out those lines straight like this. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'll go ahead and label it. That is my waistline. This is my bust point line. So on the top of my pattern paper, that first line I draw, which is my shoulder line, I'll go ahead and insert half of my shoulder measurements. So go ahead and divide your shoulder by 2 and add. Now I mark my neck width of 3 inches and I'm marking my neck depth of 1.5 inches. So this pattern I'm drafting is actually the back pattern. This is the back pattern, and this particular overlap top doesn't have any zipper. So at the shoulder line, I came down by 1 inches for my shoulder slant. So from there, I'll be connecting it. I'll go down by 7.5 inches for my upper chest line. So how to get your upper chest line is dividing your bust by 6 and adding 1.5 inches to it. That is how you can get your upper chest line. So I'll just go ahead and square up that line straight to meet that part that we came down for our shoulder slant. Now I'll place my tape at that new line that I draw out. I'll go ahead and divide it by 2 to get the midpoint. So I'll mark the midpoint. So at that midpoint, I'll be going in by half inches. That is 0.5 inches. Now on this my upper chest line, I'll go ahead and divide my bust by 4, and I'll be inserting whatever I have there, my bust circumference by 4, and go ahead and insert whatever you have there. Then you'll be connecting the 3 points together to form your armhole. So this is what our armhole is looking like right now. So at that bust point line, I will go ahead and insert my bust circumference there as well. At the waistline, which is the half length, I'll be inserting my waist circumference divided by 4. Whatever I have, I'll go ahead and insert there. Then I'll be joining all the lines together like this. So I'll go ahead and join the dots together. Now I did not add that for this particular dress, this particular top I'm drafting. I don't need that. I'm not going to be putting that. So that was why I did not add that. But if you want to add that for yours, just go ahead and divide your nipple to nipple by 2. Whatever you have, you insert half of your nipple to nipple there and form your dart. So I'm done with this back pattern. I'll just go ahead and cut it out for you guys to see what it's looking like. Remember, there is no zipper allowance for this particular top because it's a wrap top, and there is no dart for it because I won't be needing it. Now this is what it's looking like. You can see that these have a shoulder, but the top that we are making is an off shoulder top. Now I'll place my tape at the shoulder line like this, and I'll be determining how off I want this to be. So I came down by 5 inches. That is how off I want my off shoulder to be. That is how low I want it to be. Now I'll be cutting from that part. So this is what our off shoulder will be like. This is what it will be like. Now I'll go ahead and fold my fabric into 2 to cut my back part first. After cutting out my back part, I'll be doing some adjustments on this pattern paper, and I will go ahead and use the same pattern paper to cut our front. So when you draft out your pattern paper and you are going to be using it to cut both the back and the front, it's advisable that you go ahead and cut the back first because you might be needing some adjustment for the front. So now I'll go ahead and cut. And if you notice, when I was cutting this pattern paper, I didn't add any seam allowance. I'll go ahead and add it. Now I'm cutting on my fabric. So I added 1.5 inches for seam allowance, and at the top I add half, and at the down I also add half inches for the joining. Now I'll go ahead and remove my pattern paper so that I can remove the fabric from it and make the necessary adjustment that I need to make. Now for our off shoulder, I'll go ahead and connect it to my chest line. Now if you are going to be going below your chest line, this will be too opening for you. It will be too revealing. Your bust might be showing too much. I advise you just go ahead and connect to your chest line. It will come out beautiful and nice. So that was what I did. I just went down to my upper chest line and I connect it like so. So just do the same thing you see me doing. So this is what that will be forming our off shoulder, the overlap at that off shoulder part at the front. So it's giving it a sort of a sweetheart. Now I brought in my fabric and I'm folding it into two. So this is what my fabric is. At that edge part, at that side, make sure that you are having your seam allowance of 1.5 inches for the front as well. Now at the center part, you will go ahead and determine how you want this to be overlapped. Because this is a peplon kind of a top, I don't want the overlap to reach at the end at the seam allowance. So I just added 5 inches extra for the overlap. Mind you, I add 5 inches extra for the overlap, and just look at how I use my ruler and connect it from that upper chest line to that 5 inches that I added for my overlap. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to explain here. But if you doesn't understand, just go ahead and watch what I'm doing. It's self-explanatory though. So I'll go ahead and cut it out like so. Just watch how I'm cutting it out. So I'm also making sure that I add my sewing allowances at the top and at the down part for the joining of the flea. So this is what it's looking like. You can see I add extra 5 inches at that point. Now I'll go ahead and just drop this aside so that we can work on our down part, which is the 360-degree flea part that we are going to be working on. Now this is what it's looking like though. So I'll be using this pattern paper to cut out the flea. So there are some calculations we are going to be doing. So now the circumference of my waist is 30 inches. That is the circumference of my waist is 30 inches. Now on that 30 inches, we are going to be adding our extra allowance that we add on it, which is 5 inches that we add. So it's going to be 35 inches. Now for this 35 inches, we are going to be dividing it by what we are using to divide the circumference of a circle, which is 6.28. So whatever you have, that automatically become what you'll be using to cut your circumference of your flea. So after I divide I have 5.57 inches. Now the half length of our top is 17, while the total length of our top is 24. So if you minus 17 from 24, you'll be left with 7, which is the length of our peplon. I hope you understand what I was saying that right there. So now go ahead and cut out the circumference of the flay, which is 5.75 inches I was making use of. So guys, now if you want your flay to have pleat on it, make sure that you add extra allowance for that. If you're having 5.5 something for this total, I will advise you go ahead and make use of 6 or 6.5 if you want to pleat on your peplon like the style you saw earlier. Just go ahead and add extra to it. Now I also go ahead and mark the full length of my peplon, which is the remaining 7 inches, but I added 1 inches to it for the sewing allowance that I'll be using to turn in my lining. So what I cut total was 8 inches for the length of my flame. So as you can see, so if you don't understand how to go about to cut your peplon, I have a detailed tutorial on this channel on how to cut your 360-degree peplon flame. So you can just go ahead and check it on my channel, and I'll also be dropping a link to that video on the description box. So guys, this is what our flay is looking like. Now I'll go ahead and bring my fabric and I'll be folding it into four. So if you want to cut your 360-degree peplon flay, make sure that your fabric is folded into four like this. As you can see, it's folded into four. Just go ahead and make sure that it's folded into four and place your pattern paper that you cut on it and go ahead and cut. And guys, you can also cut this directly on your fabric without cutting first on the pattern paper. It was just because I was managing my fabric. That was why I have to cut on the pattern paper first before placing it on the piece that I've cut out for the flay on my fabric. So this is what it's looking like. You can see now, just go ahead and open one part of the flay, and that will be all for this 360-degree flame. Now this is it, and this is what is looking like. Now guys, I'll just go ahead and use this fabric to cut my lining piece, because I'll be lining this particular material with a lining. So I'll be lining this out. So guys, I'm done cutting out the linings, and this is what it's looking like. This is for the back part, this is for the both front parts, and this is for the peplon part, the flay part. Now I'll be taking this to my sewing machine to turn it. So you'll be placing your lining on the right side of your fabric and you'll be turning it out. You'll be turning that neck part, and you'll also be turning the sides of the main fabric with your lining. So guys, I'm done turning out everything, and this is what is looking like right now. This is what is looking like. So after I turn it, I iron the lining piece down so that it will look very neat and smooth as well. So this is what is looking like. So this is the peplum part as well. So now I'll just go ahead and drop this peplum part aside, and I'll start working on the upper part. So the first thing we have to do is to cut out our sleeve. So I want to use this armhole that I have on the main dress to also curve it out at the sleeve part. So this is what we are going to be using for our sleeve, and I have two of it here. I have two pieces of it. So for the both sleeve. Now for the length of our sleeve, I want my length to be around that kind 25 inches. I want it very long. If you notice the one that I posted, the picture I was copying from, the sleeve is long and it's a sort of a puff sleeve. So this is sort of a puff sleeve. So now I'll go ahead and get my back pattern, my back side of my dress, and I'll be placing it to cover the armhole. So you can make use of the front if you want. You can make use of the back. Any piece can go. Now I'll be going down by 1 inches from that upper part because of the fold that will be forming for our elastic. You can see I came down by 1 inches on that part because I'll be folding that for our elastic casing. I'll just go ahead and cut out what I have there like this. So guys, this sleeve is very easy and very simple to make. You just use your main fabric to cut out what you have. Now I'll go ahead and determine the length of my sleeve like this. So I'll just go ahead and mark it out so that I can also cut out the excess that I won't be needing for this particular sleeve. So just go ahead and cut out the excess like this, and that will be all. So we are done with our sleeve. We'll go ahead and form our casing there. So I'll be showing you how I'll be forming that casing so that when I go to the sewing machine, I'll be doing that once. So just go ahead and double fold like this on the upper part, forming a casing of around 0.75 inches or half inches, depending on the elastic you are working with. So I'm working with an half-inch elastic. So I'll just form something that will be enough for that half-inch elastic to pass through. Now, the next thing for you to do for your main dress is to go ahead and join the sides of your dress. Just go ahead and join the side like this. Yes, just go ahead and join this side and it will be looking nice and beautiful. And now your dress is almost ready. Like the upper part is ready. The next thing for you to do is to attach your flay to it, and you'll be almost 80% done with this dress. So now for my sleeve, for my flay, I'll just go ahead and notch the center of my flay, which I've done that already. Then for my main upper part, at the back part, I'll go ahead and fold it into two and notch the center part for the back as well. Now I'll be using my pin to join the two of them together like so. So you'll be starting with the center part so that no side will be excess. like no part will be too excess. So go ahead and pin it down at that center part. Then you go ahead and pin the rest of it to the dress. Just make sure that you align it very well. So if you notice at this point, I don't have any pleat on my flay because I didn't add enough allowance for that. I didn't add enough allowance for the pleat. So if you want yours to be exactly as the one I posted on this my thumbnail, go ahead and add extra allowance. So guys, we are done with the flay part, but I noticed something when I was joining this flay together. I noticed that my flay was shorter than my main dress, and that was from the cutting. Now I will show you why it's shorter than the main top. Now when I was adding my allowance, I added 5 inches. So now this was it. I added 5 inches for the extra overlap, but it wasn't supposed to be 5 inches because 5 inches was for one side and 5 inches was for the other side. So making it 10 inches. So what I was supposed to add there was 10 inches instead of 5 inches, which was going to be 40 inches. So I made a mistake when I was adding my extra allowance. I just considered just one part of the overlap and did not consider the other part of the overlap. So that was why my flay was looking smaller and it wasn't enough. Now for the sleeve part, I'm done forming the casing. As you can see, I've also inserted my elastic on this particular one. So now I'll go ahead and do the same on the other part, and I'll just show you guys how I'll go about joining it to my main dress like this. So guys, we are done with this dress. We are done with this dress. We have attached our puff sleeve to it and see how it's looking. So this part that the flare wasn't enough, I'll always make sure that when I'm putting on this dress, it will be inside. Please don't make the same mistake I made though. If you want to add your allowance, please make sure that you add enough. Add enough. So I'll be making use of this pressing button at that flare part to hold it down to each other like this. Then I also have my rope that I'll be tying to it. So I didn't want to add rope to that upper part like this. So I just wanted the rope to go round it. So please, if this video was helpful and you learn one or two, please do not forget to share and also like this video, and see you on the comment section.